welcome to my AuthorTube channel. My name is Bobbi Holmes and I am the USA Today Bestselling Author of the Paranormal Cozy Mystery Series, Haunting Danielle. And I also write under the pen name Anna J. McIntyre. Well, today I would like to discuss book reviews. Now, for the author, a book review is sort of a love-hate relationship. And why I say that is, on one hand, a book review is considered something that is for the readers. The author is not supposed to really get involved with book reviews once they have been written. And on the flip side, an author needs book reviews in order to sell their books. For example, if you want to advertise on a site, for instance, like BookBub, they will require you have a certain number of reviews on your book before they will even consider advertising your book. Or if you're a fairly new author and you have a book out there, some readers will not buy books unless they have reviews on them. Other ones will, it's not always. But that is one factor in selling your books. You need a certain amount of reviews often for a new writer. If you need reviews on your books, then how do you get them? Well, the topic today doesn't really discuss that, and frankly, I am not the best person to answer that question because I tend to shy away from soliciting reviews. In fact, looking back, there's only been a few times where I have asked my readers or asked anybody to review my book. Now, there was one time a number of years ago I wanted to get a BookBub ad on one of my Anna J. McIntyre books, but they didn't have hardly any reviews on it at all. And so I went to Goodreads, and they had a group in Goodreads where you can offer a free ebook in exchange for an honest review, which would be a good or a bad review. And I did that, and I was able to get enough reviews, and I did get the BookBub ad. So that was one situation where I did solicit reviews. Another time I asked for book reviews was when I had bundled the first 4 books of my Haunting Danielle books together. I wanted to do a BookBub ad on the first 4 books, but I didn't have any reviews on the bundle. I had lots of reviews on all the other books in the series, but not on the 4 as a bundle. So I went to my newsletter. I asked my readers, those readers who had read the first 4 books in the series, if they could please leave an honest review on those 4 books under the bundle section. And they did, and I was able to secure a BookBub ad. But those are cases for me which were very rare where I would ever solicit reviews. But soliciting reviews is actually one part of the publishing business, and a lot of authors give out ARCs, and they have teams that street teams and so forth that leave reviews. I'm just not really into that. I feel I feel uncomfortable soliciting reviews, but that's just me. So if you're looking for how to get more reviews and how other authors do it, I'm sure there's other YouTube videos out there. But today what we're going to be discussing is once you get those reviews and what's it mean to you as the author. Many authors will say, never read your reviews. And that's true to some extent, because for some authors, when they read the reviews, it can be sort of a stifling experience. It can stop their whole creative flow, and they freeze a little bit, and they feel very insecure, and they can't move forward. And that's a bad thing, obviously. But the truth of the matter is that we will tend to read our reviews, especially early on in the process. Now, for me, I just normally read the reviews of my most current book because I want to get an idea how my readers feel about how I'm going in the series. But I don't really go back normally and go through the newer reviews on my older books. Sometimes I will if I'm just bored or whatever, but it's not something I really pay that close attention to anymore. I'm kind of over that. But it is important to have a little bit better of understanding of what those different reviews that all of us as authors will receive. One common type of negative review involves punctuation, grammar, and editing of the book. Now, if you are receiving a negative review that addresses your poor editing, your poor grammar, whatever punctuation, you need to take that with a grain of salt. Now, if you are receiving lots of reviews that mention this, then maybe you do have a problem. Maybe you need to either change your editor or brush up on some of your skills. Maybe you have a situation like that. I personally, there was in some of my earlier books, I had some issues, and I switched editors, and that helped the problem. So that's something you do have to realize. But at the same token, those comments are not always legitimate. Just because somebody is a reader and leaves a review does not really mean they know the rules of grammar, and very often they don't. I have seen reviews in some of my books where they'll point out certain problems, but the problems they pointed out are not wrong, they're wrong. And I'll look them up just to double check, and yeah, you know, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. In fact, I received a letter from a reader a short while ago, and this one was kind of amusing. I kind of thought it was a little bit funny. The reader, now she didn't leave a review on Amazon or anything. She, you know, sent this to me directly, and she said she did enjoy my stories. She found them really entertaining, but she said that she would not read them because I promote ignorance. And then she went on to tell me what my glaring mistake was. Well, the glaring mistake that she pointed out, I looked it up. I thought, oh, well, did I not know this? Well, she was wrong. It was a rule that used to be in effect but has changed over time. And how I was doing it accepted by editors, and it was not really an issue. So she was looking at it from a time frame of a while back, not what's going on now. So for her, I guess she just didn't like change, and language does evolve. So when it comes to the editing and the grammar issues that readers point out about your work, you really do need to take it with a grain of salt. Because while you shouldn't ignore it, because perhaps it is a legitimate issue, on the flip side, very often readers don't really know the rules. They think they do, but they really don't. And you know, you need to go and check it. And it doesn't hurt anyway to do a little bit of brush up on your own and brush up on your grammar and punctuation skills anyway. So that is something to consider when you get those types of reviews. Another type of review is the reviews that you get in after you've had a big promotion. Like let's say you've given away the very first book in a series for free at BookBub. So you've had a bazillion downloads and all these new readers. Well, what you are going to find in your negative reviews are going to go up. And the reason for that is, first of all, not everyone is going to like your book. That is just the fact. If you don't believe that, then look up your very favorite author, and you will find, along with their 5-star reviews, they have plenty of 1-star reviews. Because not everyone is going to like your book. It's just the fact of life. And you can't please everybody. So when you get reviews in from a big promotion like a BookBub, you will have a higher percentage of negative reviews, because many of those readers who came across your book and downloaded it for free were really not the readers that you were trying to attract. They may not even like your genre. In fact, I've had negative reviews after a BookBub ad, and somebody will say, I don't really care for cozy mysteries, and then they'll go on to leave a bad critique. It's like, but this isn't even your genre. So, but that's no big deal, because when the readers read that, you know, if they think, well, they're not going to give much credence to that particular review anyway if they are a cozy reader, because, you know, this is not a cozy reader reviewer. So that's something to consider when you get reviews in after a big promotion. Reviews and how you perceive them are different for a new author compared to an author that's been around and has an established reader base. For example, if you are a new author, you don't even know for sure if anybody's going to like your books. I mean, yeah, you've had some of your friends and your family and some beta readers read your books, and they all say that they loved it. But let's be honest here. Those people tend to be a little biased. And I know me personally, I make a horrible beta reader, because it's very hard for me to tell a person, you know, if they hand me a book and they say, you know, read my book and tell me what you think. I'm not good at that. So I always tell people that, you know, every once in a while somebody will write me and they'll say, can you read my book and, you know, let me know what you think. Well, I'm not saying no because I'm just trying, you know, don't want to spend the time on them. I'm saying no because I make a crappy beta reader. It's just really hard for me to tell another author I think their books kind of suck, which is one reason I don't write that many reviews like I should. And I don't get a chance to read as often as I used to, but when I do read a book that I like, I do try to leave a review. But I don't usually leave negative reviews anymore. Not that I just can't do it, because I know too many of the author friends out there, and I just feel uncomfortable about it. And I know they say, yeah, you should do it, but I just can't. So that's one of my feelings. But for a brand new author, so they put a book out there, and what they need to know is, do any readers like it? Are these strangers, do any of these strangers that have no emotional investment in them, that don't have to make them feel good, do any of them actually like their books? Well, if they're receiving some 5-star reviews and these people really love the books, then that's a win. You know, yeah, you've got some readers out there, you've got some people that like it. And if you get some 1-star reviews, then don't worry about it. As long as you're getting some 5-star reviews, things are good, because that means somebody likes your books. But now, if all you're getting are 1-star reviews, then maybe you have something you need to worry about there, because if nobody out there seems to be responding to your book, then maybe you have some work to do. On the flip side, you have to remember to give it a little bit of time, and also try to maybe solicit some more reviews in some way, you know, some more reviews, not from people that you know, but from strangers. And the reason I say that is, you know, it has to do with odds and percentages. I look back and I think of some of my books, what would have happened if just the negative reviews came in first? If all the people that really liked the books didn't write the review right away, and all I got was all these 1-star reviews, and I would just think, oh, loser, I'm not gonna, you know, do this anymore. And then all of a sudden, here comes a 5-star. So that's something I always kind of think about, is the order of the reviews. So, but honestly, if all you're getting is 1-star or 2-star reviews, then maybe you have some work to do. But if you're getting a good significant amount of 5-star, 4-star reviews from people that you don't even know, then, you know, those are the people, the types of readers you need to go after. And that's something to always remember. Don't get too bogged down in those people that don't like your books, because, like I say, not everyone is going to like them. So focus on the 5-star reviews. Those are actually the most important reviews for an author. And the reason I say that is because those are the readers that you are trying to attract. Those book reviews for me are probably a little different than for some newer authors, or from authors that write standalone books or shorter series. And the reason I say that is, for the last 6 years, I have worked exclusively on my Haunting Danielle series. And in August, I will be putting out book 25 in the series. So I am more concerned about the typical Haunting Danielle reader than I am about other readers, because those are the ones who I'm trying to please and to cater to and write to. I mean, that's what I do. So what I also find is, as my books go along, I think I tend to have a little bit higher percentage of the 5-star reviews, because I'm catering to a certain group of readers. Now, if I put out a BookBub ad on my first book in this series, I am going to have more varied reviews. I will have, you know, more 1-stars or 2-star reviews, because more readers that aren't necessarily my type of readers are going to get their hands on the books, and so I'm going to get some negative reviews going there. So that's to be expected. So for me, I am looking to see what my readers say. And each time a book comes out for me, I do read those reviews. And for me, I can't really say don't read reviews, because I'm trying to see if I'm hitting the mark for my readers. When you have a series that goes on this long, there always comes a point when you have to cut the series off, that you know, kind of overstayed your welcome. Fortunately, I'm not to that place yet. I keep getting from most of my readers will say, you know, give us more books, we want more stories. And I have said all along that as long as I still have story ideas, and I have lots of story ideas, and as long as I'm physically able to write the books, and I want to write the books, which I do, and as long as my readers keep asking for them, then I will continue with the Haunting Danielle series. But if there comes a time where all of a sudden my reviews start showing a lack of reader interest and they're bored with the series, then I will definitely wrap it up. So for me, that's what I'm looking for when I read my reviews, is sort of a meter to see, do I keep going or not. My most recent release in my Haunting Danielle series, The Ghost in the Silver Scream, I looked over on Amazon this morning to see what kind of reviews I had on that book, so I could, you know, incorporate it into this video today. Now, so far over on Amazon, I have 34 reviews on that particular book, The Ghost in the Silver Scream. Of those 34 reviews, 32 of them are 5-star. Which for me says awesome, because it tells me my readers like where I'm going. There's also a 1 4-star, which is fine. 4 stars are good too. And there is one 1-star review. Now, that 1-star review, unlike other book reviews where you say, well, it's, you know, you can't please everybody. Well, before I say that, I had to look and see what kind of books this particular reviewer read. Well, I looked at the past reviews, and yeah, this particular reviewer was one of my readers. And this particular reviewer had left on my last book a glowing 5-star review, but did not like this last book. So this is an example that even your readers don't necessarily will like all of your books. You can't please everyone all the time. Now, I was able to please, a lot of them, of the people that left the reviews, they did like them, but this one reader did not like it. And I couldn't discount the book review because this particular reader was one of my readers, had read my other books before, I had left good reviews. So it's an example that, you're just not going to please everybody, even if it is one of your readers, and that's just the reality of the situation. Now, I'm not going to get too worked up about it. I respect that review. I totally get it that, we don't always like the same thing. And sometimes it's hard. It hurts our feelings. We want to, we want everybody to like our work, but they're not going to, and that's okay. As long as some people do, that's the key to success in this business, is finding readers that do like your work. And then there's the amusing reviews. Okay, sometimes you get really bad reviews and they're kind of funny. Sometimes they're kind of annoying. So let me kind of go over those, and they're kind of the ones that we kind of laugh as authors kind of laugh about. The annoying ones are more, every once in a while I get a review, and I don't know if the reviewer is trolling me, like maybe they really didn't, if they know it's fake, or they've messed up. For example, there was one review that mentioned one of my books, and it said, it was a good book, but I just really didn't like all the, pushing the Jehovah Witness on and on and on in the book. And I'm thinking, oh, I didn't mention Jehovah Witnesses in that book. I don't know what they're talking about. So I didn't know if it was just some smart aleck, reviewer, or they're just writing fake reviews, or if they legitimately got my book confused with something else. It just happened recently in one of my Haunting Danielle books. My Haunting Danielle books are very G-rated. There's no sex or very minimal cursing in them. And one of them talked about how they liked it, but they really were tired of the, really explicit sex scenes. And I thought that was kind of funny because there are no sex scenes in my Haunting Danielle books. So in those cases, those are reviews that are left on the wrong book, or the reviewer is intentionally leaving a fake review, but I don't know which is the case. And those are the only type of reviews I tend to respond on, and that is just to let readers know that that is not really an issue in the book, because that's not really an opinion issue, that's an issue of fact. So it's not like saying, well, the book's a bad book or a good book. It's talking about, particular things that are not in the book. One of the type of reviews that really bug me, and they really kind of get under my skin, that's when I get a 1-star review from somebody that really didn't like the book, and then they call into question the legitimacy of the 5-star reviews, and they really basically accuse me of having a bunch of fake reviews out there. And that bothers me, I think, because I've always been so careful about not soliciting reviews from friends or people that I know. And when I do solicit reviews, those very few times, it's been a very controlled situation where I make it very clear that I want a sincere review. So that kind of, it's insulting to me, because I feel like my integrity is being challenged. Not my writing ability, but my integrity. Just don't accuse me of cheating, because to me that would be cheating. So those are the ones that kind of I find a little bit annoying. Now, one of my reviews that I always found the most amusing, I kind of got the biggest kick out of, it was a reviewer over on Goodreads, and it was on my Haunting Danielle series, and I had a number of books, maybe 6 or 7, maybe about 6 books out at the time, I can't remember, it's a while ago. And this is back when I was reading most of my reviews on the series, because I was, fairly new in it. And this particular reviewer had reviewed every single book up to that point, and always left like 1-star reviews, did not like my book. And I thought it was really weird, because now I personally don't even finish a book if I don't like it, much less, read a book in a series and then read the next book in a series that I hate, and then I keep hating the series and keep reading. I just didn't understand that. I mean, who wastes their time reading books in a series they don't like? It just didn't make any sense to me. Well, finally, after, the series of 1-star reviews, the particular reviewer said that they had a practice, they always finished a series that they started. and acknowledged that, yeah, they thought my series sucked, but that they always stuck it through and finished a series. At that point, I felt really sorry for the reviewer, and the reason I felt sorry for him is my intention with Haunting Danielle, I didn't think, okay, I'm going to have this many books and then that's all. In my head, I was always a Nancy Drew fan, and Nancy Drew was a series just went on, and you just kept reading it. And that's kind of what I want to do, is a series that people would just keep reading. If I could pull that off, as for as long as that I could keep writing, and as long as I kept enjoying it. So I didn't have any plans to wrap the series up anytime soon. And then I thought, this poor person, they're going to be like, I feel like I had trapped him, forcing him to read books they didn't like, one after another. And I just thought that was so sad, and I just felt guilty, and oh well, what can I do? Now, I didn't keep reading my reviews. I got busy and I was doing other stuff. So I have absolutely no idea, because I haven't really been in over to Goodreads for a while to check out old reviews. So I don't even know if that poor person is still reading along books they hate, trapped in the Haunting Danielle nightmare. I don't know. But I thought that was amusing. That was probably one of my favorite reviews for amusement factor. But I did feel sorry for the reader. A little strange, but I did feel sorry for him. And there was another one, and this was over at Goodreads too. This was back when I solicited some reviewers from the Goodreads pool because I wanted that book bad. Well, there was one reviewer who hated my book, but it was funny because she left this really long review and she put in a bazillion gifts. I mean, she must have spent a lot of time. I was kind of like impressed. There was one point she made about my book that I found really annoying, and I wanted to respond to her, but I didn't. I follow the rules where an author is not supposed to respond to a review, or that's their review. But the book was While Snowbound, and that is one of my books under in my Unlocked Heart series. There are standalone romances under my Anna J. McIntyre. And in While Snowbound, it is about a young author, and she is going up to her mountain cabin to write over the weekend. And on her way there, it starts snowing really hard, and she ends up rescuing he's a rock star. He's going up to the mountains too, and he's really foolish in how he's driven up there. He hasn't taken precautions. He breaks down. She literally saves his life and has to take him with her to her cabin, and they are snowbound together. And he's this very famous rock star. Now, the reason she recognizes him and knows who he is because her friend told her that he was going up there and who he was. And until that point, she really didn't know who he was, even though the whole world did. I made her an author of historical romance. And I did that for a particular reason. I did not feel, this character, the rock star, was very well known. He made the most sexy on People magazine for a couple years in a row, and all the women just adored him. Well, for her, she didn't know who the hell he was. Now, that to me would not be realistic for a lot of authors, not to be aware of who this very famous guy is. And the reason she is not really aware of it is she's not kind of in that world. She doesn't follow rock stars or know who they are. Kind of like me, I never did. I never had like rock star posters when I was a teenager. I never had them on the wall. And I liked music, and I knew what I liked, but I never knew who the people were that were singing. I mean, I still don't. My husband does. I have no clue, how, and I know who the Beatles are, or Beach Boys, that type of thing. But, a lot of rock stars and stuff, I just don't know their names. But I figured for this time frame, a young woman in that age would typically know who these different famous people were. But I kind of thought, well, if she's an author of romance, historical romance, then maybe her mind and her research is more in the past, and she's not paying attention to, current what's going on in that type of situation. So that's one reason that I made her an author of historical romance. I thought then it would make it a little bit more believable that she wasn't that familiar with who he is. But this particular reviewer really thought that my choice she thought a historical romance author was the most boring type of an author in the world, and she just didn't understand why I made her a historical romance author. Well, it's like, well, what other kind of author would she be that she wouldn't be aware of who this guy was? And I'm not saying not all historical, authors aren't going to know who the local rock stars are, but I just was trying to make a situation where her head is in a different place that would make it believable in her instance that she wouldn't be that familiar with his background. So that is an instance where I kind of really wanted to say, well, this is why I did it, but I didn't say that, and I just ignored it and moved on. Obviously, I still thought about it because I brought it up now. That happened quite a few years ago. So that is an example of how sometimes those reviews that annoy us and kind of stick with us over the years. But we can't let them get to us. We can kind of laugh about it, and that's okay. The bottom line is you need to take your reviews with a grain of salt. Now, it doesn't mean that you ignore all of your reviews. If you find that on a particular book, a number of reviewers are all mentioning the same problem, then maybe that's something that you need to check out, especially if it is an editing issue. On the flip side, you need to realize that you will not please all readers, even if they are quote unquote your readers normally, and there will be people that are not going to like your book. The most important thing to remember is that it is the 5-star reviews that you need to keep your eye on. And if you're not getting those, then maybe you do have a problem. But if you're getting a number of those, then those are how you have to look at, those are the type of readers that you're going to want to target. If you find that some of the negative reviews are really getting under your skin and you just can't get over it, and even though you've heard all the advice not to read your reviews or just to walk away from them, but you just can't, well, one thing you can do is if you have a review that's really bothering you, take a moment to check out that particular reviewer's other reviews. Very often I will discover that somebody left me a 1-star and they are a 1-star reviewer. Most of the books that they've left reviews on, they've left 1 stars. I mean, this poor person can never find a freaking book that they like. So that does happen. You do have some reviewers that just leave 1-star reviews all over the place and they love to be critical. So that's okay. That's them. That's their issue. Don't let it bug you. Now, of course, you might find they left lots of 5-star reviews in other books, but check those other books out. Maybe they're not the type of books your book is. And maybe this is a reader that is just not your type of reader. Maybe they're not really into your genre, your style. They like different types of book. And that's okay too, because there's lots of readers out there and everybody has their own opinion. So when you kind of put that into perspective, it's a little easier to take, and then you can walk away from that particular review. And then also remember to go over on Amazon every once in a while and check out your very favorite author, especially a trade published one that's been around for a while. And chances are you will discover that particular author has racked up lots of 1-star reviews too. So we all get them. And that's something to consider to put things into perspective. So that kind of wraps up my talk today on book reviews and what they mean and what they don't mean and how we take them as authors. But whatever you do, don't let them get you down too much. You can learn from them. Sometimes they can encourage you, sometimes they can discourage you, and sometimes they're not very factual when you dig in a little bit deeper. So with book reviews, don't totally ignore them, but take them with a hefty grain of salt. So for now, I'm going to sign off. I have a book to work on, and for all of you out there, write on.